How's it going, guys? Shane with the Social Freedom Tribe. Want to make a video real quick just to introduce the framework to what's behind the Social Freedom Tribe. Basically, what happened in my own life is that I grew up with just crippling social anxiety, just really terrified all the time, not really understanding why in certain situations I would become petrified and others wouldn't, and just kind of observing the differences in like what was going on that was different between us and why that was happening for me. Not really thinking that I was born different or I had different genetics, but more feeling into what's going on with me, what are my patterns or anything like that. So when I turned 21, I decided to jump into clubs and bars and just places that petrified me and really tried to understand what was the difference between me and others and what was going on that was making me so petrified with fear in social situations, especially unfamiliar social situations. And what ended up happening was just going out constantly and noticing certain patterns over time of years and years and years where sometimes I would just have little subtle changes in my social anxiety levels, just like tiny differences where one night for some reason I had less social anxiety and the next night I had more social anxiety, and not really understanding why there was a difference. But when I took more and more time and just like really dived into what did I do that day, what did I do earlier that week that made that huge difference, and I noticed patterns similar to mostly just around the fact that when I danced, for some reason, I had way less social anxiety than other days where I didn't dance. And that was just like one change of many that I noticed made a huge impact. And I hated dancing. I really hated dancing. I can't say that I love it now. And at the same time, when I danced, for some reason, I had way less social anxiety and I noticed huge changes. So I went further into that and danced longer, and it had diminishing returns sometimes. It wasn't always working for me. And so I had a hint of what would heal my social anxiety, but it wasn't complete. It wasn't the complete picture. So I started diving into research and what was going on, and this is more a framework of what I've learned from this. And the framework goes like this. The first key of the three keys is attention. Social anxiety is a feeling in the body. It's a tightness in the chest or stress in the stomach. It's something where you have some kind of pattern in your brain where you're thinking and you're putting your attention out into the outside world and then thinking that you're unsafe, you're in an unfamiliar territory, and that you need to do something to stay safe or do something to survive. And this is the first key, which is attention. Where is your attention? Is your attention on the outside world, and are you in your thoughts, or are you coming back to a place of bodily feelings and saying, whoa, there's some stress here, and just dissipating that stress and then coming back. So this is the first key, and we'll be playing around with that a lot. And the next key, which I find really important, is mindsets. So when I was in these triggering environments where I was feeling fear in certain situations, other people would go through those same situations and it would be just as unfamiliar. And rather than feel fear, they would feel excitement. So I was really confused what was going on there. It was like the same input and then a different output. Same input of unfamiliar, surrounded by people, and a different output where I outputted fear, they outputted excitement. So what was going on there? And this is the second key, which is mindsets, where we have a certain mindset that takes input from the environment or from whatever we're feeling or whatever is going on in the context, and transforms whatever energy that comes through that into social anxiety. And we'll be like playing around with that, things with scarcity mindsets where, oh, I can't lose here, I can't lose this person, I have to gain something, this is my only chance, what if I lose recognition, things like this. These are mindsets that where you're in a place of I could lose, I could die, I need to feel stress, I need to feel this constant call to action and constantly feel like I'm not enough and feel like I need to do something. And this is causing some kind of stress. It's a mindset that our body says, got it. You're right. You need to do something to survive. I'm listening to you, brain, and I'm going to give you that emotion that you're asking for because you're saying, oh, you feel that, you think that you need to survive. You believe that you are unsafe. I'm going to give you the emotion of unsafe. And they end up feeding each other because then when you're feeling a feeling of unsafe and social anxiety and stress, you have thoughts like, am I actually good enough? Am I actually strong? Do I deserve happiness? And these thoughts come up and you're not like, I'm feeling great and wow, there's so many opportunities out there. It's the feeling creates thoughts and the thoughts create feelings. So that's behind attention and mindsets. And the third key is flow. So I noticed that when I danced, I would have 10 times less social anxiety. And partly I've realized that going through to the same places, I would have less social anxiety, particularly just because I was more familiar with the environment. However, when I would go to an unfamiliar environment, then it was back to scratch and I would be feeling all this social anxiety again, like I had never gone out ever. However, when I started realizing that when I put my attention to my body, when I saw my mindsets and I was aware of what mindsets were happening in my patterns, and like, oh, this is a belief from childhood that served me back then and I'm going to let go of it now, and then go into a place of flow state by particularly putting all of my attention into a certain task that I was having fun with, like dancing. Dancing's not fun for everybody. It certainly wasn't fun for me all the time. And so I would go into times where I wasn't having fun dancing and it was just movements and I wasn't getting into a flow state. However, when I really liked the song and there's a certain movement that was getting into one pulse and maybe this one was going into a double pulse, and it was just fascinating to have these two different pulses going on and like having to completely put my attention into both of my limbs to keep that rhythm going was just fascinating to me, because then when my attention was completely on the task that was fun, I just kind of, the outside world just melted around me and I wasn't feeling that social anxiety. My mindsets didn't have a chance to take that input and give me social anxiety because it wasn't getting the input. The input was, whoa, this task, let's stay with it, let's have fun. And the mindset was saying, oh, fun, I'll give you the emotions of fun. So really behind all of this is these three keys. And I have taken people through this process over the 7 years that I've been going out, that I've taken people through this process, and people with a lot of social anxiety that honestly come in with complete doubt, 100% doubt that there would be any change in them whatsoever. But they're saying, okay, I mean, I just want to see what you're going to do. And I take them through this process, and then just to see that wide-eyedness of, whoa, what is possible here? I can actually do some crazy things. I mean, people that had never been to a bar or club before, wrapping a sweatshirt around their neck, around all of these like people acting thuggish and cool. They're wrapping a sweater around their neck, running around the club saying, I'm Superman! And just acting silly, opening themselves up to allow people to make fun of them and just showing complete vulnerability in these situations that are very triggering. And these are people that felt a lot of social anxiety before, and they're not special people that are like actors and rock stars that are able to be in crowds like no problem. These are people that are just normal, or people that are actually maybe even worse than most people when it comes to social anxiety. And this process just opened their eyes. So one huge paradigm shift is just that it's possible to get over this. It's possible to heal this social anxiety. And the second paradigm shift is that we're actually infinite. Once we learn these processes, and these are only a few processes of many, many, many things that you can do and take in to heal this stuff. We are infinite and we are expansive and we can do so much. And this is a framework where I want to get people started or get people with new ideas to attack this problem of social anxiety and feeling stress and feeling like I need to limit myself and I need to stay safe, because we're so much. We have so many ideas and we have so much to give and we have so much to offer when we open ourselves up and really show our true selves, instead of being around constantly holding ourselves in defensive posture, trying to look cool with shades and stuff like that, where really we're just pushing people out and people are afraid to open themselves up around others because the others are also afraid to open themselves up. What happens if we're in a world where everybody feels expansive and everybody feels open and nobody's attacking each other? Because attacking comes from a place of defensiveness and it comes from a place of hurt. And when we're from a place of love and openness and expansiveness, then it's just infinite possibilities of what could happen and so much healing. So really this is just a start to something that I want to help with the world with a really expansive movement. And I want people surrounding me that are also just extremely expansive and making large impact on the world. And I love you all, and I hope that you can come join me and we can work together on this. And I love you all, and thank you.